right? Flip through your notes and you want things to pop out, right? And just a reminder, supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So if you think of a straight line, right, and that's 180 degrees, it's like a hat, right? Mexican hat. And if you were to cut it, right, if this side is 30, then the other side must be 150. So that property where you cut an angle along a straight line, it's actually easy to find the one you're missing. And I want you to start looking for that, especially when you have a triangle, like when you have a scenario where there's multiple triangles. Focus on that the ground here, right? There's a straight line there, and anything along there can be determined, right? So let's read the question here. The angle of elevation to the top of the tree at point B is 42 degrees. So from here, the angle of elevation right to the top is 42, no problem. Point C, right, which is 70 meters closer to the tree. So you start here, then you walk towards the tree and look up. And now obviously, right, you have to tilt your head a little bit higher. That makes sense, right? So 58 degrees. So the angle of elevation is 58 to the top of the tree. Now the question, this is the ultimate question here. I will usually break this down into A, B, and C, okay? But how tall is the tree? That is our ultimate question. Put letter X there. We want to know how tall the tree is. And what's the angle to the ground if we want to find the height? It's going to be at this corner right here. We're going to assume it's a 9, right? So you can go ahead and make a big box there and just say, like, we're assuming that that's a 9 because that's how we measure the height. When you go to your doctor for a checkup, you're not going to measure your height tilting, right? You're going to stand up straight. Okay, so this is what we want. So let's go back to what do we have? Do you notice that the 70 is only here, right? So I'm going to focus on this triangle right there. I'm going to highlight that triangle. I'm not going to worry about this just yet. I'm just going to say I'm going to focus on this one right there because I have the side length, right? The only side length you have is down here, 70. That's it. So focus on this triangle. And I'm going to break this down into steps. This angle right here, right? It's along a straight line right here. So let's go arrow out. And I will just go 180 degrees minus 58. We're on page 272, okay? So 180 minus 58, that gives us 122 degrees. Okay, this is step 1. Write this down. Step 1. I want you to know what happened first. Okay, and I'm going to grab a red pen because I want the numbers that we're finding to appear in our triangle. So I'm going to write down 122 degrees right there. So you know you solved that. All you did is supplementary, right? Supplementary angles. And now that you have 2 angles, you can easily find the third one, right? I would always encourage you to do that. So let's go up here, make a bit of an arc like that, and then go out with an arrow. And there you're going to go 180 again, right? 180 minus the one angle you know from the beginning minus the one you just found. And you get 16 degrees. I would actually appreciate if you do it right where the angle belongs. Do it right up there on your diagram. And then I'm going to introduce that to my triangle. What can you solve? Like, what can you start with now? What law? Sine law. We have a pair, right? So I'm going to use a different color here. I'm going to connect the 16 with the 70. I'm going to make an arrow like that. That's your pair. You have the angle across from it, and you have 70. You need that. So I'm going to use sine law. Okay. Step 3 here. Sorry, I jumped the gun here. Let's put step 2 up here. Step 2. Step 1, step 2. And here I'm going to go sine of 16. Make sure you write this down. Over 70 meters. Right? And this is where it's frustrating. Okay, listen carefully. Some of you are going to go one way, and others are going to go my way right now. So I'm showing you a way. Okay? Because listen carefully here. You have this angle, which will allow you to solve for this side, but you also have this angle, which will allow you to solve for this side. I'm going to go with 122 and solve for this, and I can't call this x, so I'm going to call this y. That would be like the distance from direct distance from your first position to the top of the tree. So side BA in a sense, I call it y. Put a letter down. So I'm going to go sine of 122 over letter y. So it's just solving for a side, right? You cross multiply and divide. Sine of 16. What do you get there? You get 215.37 meters. I'm not going to circle it. I'm going to underline it because it's important, right? And I forgot this step 3. Okay, so let's go to the top of this work here and just write down step 3 at the top so you know this is what happened next, right? You can do this, folks. You just have to risk, okay? When I assign this to you, risk. Try it out. You will be successful after a while. Okay, so it's a bit overwhelming, but you can do this. Now what? I found the side right here. So follow me here. I found this side right here to the top. I want to find this one. See how I did that? So I'm going to focus on this one now. And so that would be my final step. Step 4, find height. So step 3 was like find a side. Find a side. It could have been this or this. So now step 4, sine. I'm going to use the pair I started. Sorry. Backtrack. Not too fast here. I need to make a diagram. So watch this. I'm going to draw the big one. So make this diagram. Please do so. Don't just write down numbers. This is x. This is the height I would find here. The side I just found is 215.37. Write that down here. This is that. And you know this angle here, which is not 58. It's not 58. It's 42, right? Because I'm using this angle right here. So write down 42. So I'm focusing on that big triangle. I have my pair here again. This is a pair. Right, perfect. So I can use sine law. So sine of 90 degrees, which is this box here, over 215.37 is equal to sine of 42 degrees over x, which is the height that I want. Then it's cross multiply and divide. So you go 215.37 times sine of 42 divided by sine of 90. What is sine 90 again? Just 1, right? So you don't have to type that in, but it's still part of the process. This times this divided by this. What do you get? 144.11 meters. This is the height of the tree. And before I do my side note here, which I'm going to do on scrap paper, I just want you to follow along. I don't want you to actually write this down because it gets too busy. Make sure you write this down, yeah? But you would have to agree, right? No matter where I stand, the tree doesn't change the height, right? So either you're looking at it from here or from here, the height stays the same. So if you had found this side and worked with this triangle next, you should still get the same answer. Okay? And that's what I'm going to do here on the scrap piece of paper. So just follow along, okay? So let's imagine for a second that I use the same pair. So I use sine of 16 over 70 meters. Just sit back and relax, right? And let's say I had used 42, which would allow me to find this side right here. So sine of 42 over, let's say I call that z, okay? Cross multiply and divide. Z is, I'm not going to show you the work because it's just to prove a point. But if I multiply these two and then divide by sine of 16, I get 169.93 meters, right? So obviously if I move closer to the tree, it's going to be less of a distance to look at the top. So I just found this side, and then I would draw my triangle where this is the height, and I'm now focusing on this line right here, which is 169.93, right? This angle here is going to be that 58 you had there, right? So this is my pair, and this is how I'm going to find the height. So sine of 90 over 169.93 is equal to sine of 58 over x. So x would be cross multiply and divide. So I'm just going to show you how that works. 169.93 times sine of 58 equals, divided by sine of 90, right? 144, and if you round that, you get 11. Okay, so both ways arrive to the same conclusion, right? So I just showed you one way, not the way. So the key is focus on, like, if it's only giving you that side here, you need to focus on that highlighted triangle first. Solve something using the supplementary angle here, and then just work your way around. Okay. Can you handle this or what? Is it a bit too much? We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's do one more right away. Flip over to the next page. 273, okay? And this diagram is not very well done. So watch what I'm going to do here. This 45-degree refers to that angle right there. And the 50 refers to that angle right there. So let's make an exaggerated, zoomed in version of that. Right? Just do one of those and then connect to the top. So this is the top of the cliff here, C. And this is A. This is B. Right? And so this is 15 meters. Complete this, okay? Just go right under the C and complete it like that. Okay, so we're just separating that distance a little bit so we have more room to enter our numbers. So this is 45. There's 45. And this is 50. Okay. Make sure you have that diagram here, okay? So let's read it once. There's Aiden and Belinda, right? That's what A and B is standing for, right? They hike and they're 15 meters apart and they're both looking, right, to the top of the cliff, right? And so these are their angles of elevation, 50 meters. Okay, what does it ask first? What is the distance from Aiden to the top of the cliff, right? So they want the distance from Aiden to the cliff, so we're going to call that x. Okay. So let's figure that out first. So we're going to say that what we're solving for is x, put it right next to that question. And I can't do the steps here. I will just tell you what I'm doing as I go through it. You want to focus on this triangle here. I'm going to highlight it. The 15 goes from here to here. So naturally, you want to focus on this one first. If you have a highlighter, do that, okay? So can we find, we only have this angle on one side that doesn't really help us much. What would this be here if it's along the straight line? If this is 50, then this is 130, right? Okay. 130. Because it's along a straight line, so right, like they have to add up to 180, these two guys. So 130 it is. Then you figure out this one up here, okay? Because when you have two, you can find that third one. So I'm going to go 180 minus 130 minus the 45. And that is 180 minus 130 is 50, minus 45 is 5. So it's just a small angle, which is 5 degrees. It's hard to see, but there's a pair. Do you see it? This 50 connects with its side, right? It's opposite to that side, so you have a pair, which means I can use sine law. Okay. So let's go ahead and start this. Sine of 5 degrees, yes, it's 5 degrees, over 15 meters is equal to, I'm going to find x because that's what they want you to find anyway. So I have to use sine of 130 degrees, right? I have to use this angle to find the side opposite to it. So here we go. I'm going to show my work here. It's cross multiply and divide. So 15 times sine of 130 over sine of 5 degrees. You go multiply that out. You get 131.84 meters. You can do this, guys. Okay, this one actually guides you through step by step. Okay. Can I just go up once? I forgot to do, I want you to have this labeled, so supplementary again. Supplementary angles, exclamation mark, right? This is another question that has, because I can guarantee you there'll be one question at least on the test that has supplementary angles. It's not that hard. Like if you just see it, that right, if you have something like this, just transfer over the knowledge. Next, we want the height of the cliff. So the height of the cliff, let's call that y. Right, the cliff is this here, and we know it's a 90. So we're going to say we're finding side y here on the side. Let's make a diagram. Let's see what we know, right? This is the side, this is the height of the cliff. We just found the distance from the cliff to Aiden. So that's 131.84. Okay. And we know this angle here is, if you look back at the original, it's 45 degrees because I'm using the outermost. So write down 45 here. And if there's a 90, folks, that is an angle. So you actually have a pair. You can use sine law again. Sine of 90 over 131.84 is equal to sine of 45 over y. Right? Because I have that angle, it will allow me to find the side across from it. Cross multiply. Divided by sine of 90. You get 93.22 meters. We're almost done, folks. This is going to be it. Okay. This is the height of the cliff. I'm going to leave it there for a bit so you can write it down. So this is the last piece here. How far from the base of the cliff is Aiden standing? So let's go back up to our diagram. We want to know from the base of the cliff, right, all the way to Aiden. Like how far from the base is Aiden? That's what they want. So let's write this down. What do we have? I'm going to do this again. This is Aiden here. This is the cliff. I know that the distance between Aiden and the cliff is this. I found that earlier. Okay. I know that this is 45. This is 45. And I already know that this is 93.22. Right? I just found that as well. If this is 90 and this is 45, what's this going to be? Well, you just go 180 minus the 90 here, minus the 45. That will give you 45 degrees as well. Okay, so you just find that this is 45. And let's call this Z. We ran out of letters, so I'm just going to call that the distance between the base of the cliff and Aiden. That's Z. Question, if this is 45 and that's 93.22, wouldn't this side across this 45 be the same? The answer is yes. Before we go, I'm going to throw in cosine law here. Do you see side angle side here? Side angle side? So we can solve this using cosine law. If you wanted to, you could also use sine law, but let's go ahead. Z squared is equal to 93.22 squared plus 131.84 squared minus 2 times 93.22 times 131.84 times cosine of 45 is up there. It's hard to see, but it's a 45, okay? Then I type all of this in one shot, and I get square root of 8690.89285. No, sorry. 892825, sorry. Z is 93.22. What do you know, right? We kind of expected that to happen anyways. I would say this, page 274 to 282, to practice a bit more. You should really make an effort to look at those. There's various examples in there. And tomorrow we'll continue with this. There will be an AC on the various laws. There might not be a supplementary angle question in there,